You hit a beautiful groove, a harmonious groove with the Lotus 72 in 1972. Martin Wade, oil tank, rear wing mounting. Of course, it was dangerous for somebody who was going to hit it, but it was a beautiful car. And you looked completely at ease in that car. So many races, and I was lucky enough to be at most of them. It looked as if nothing could go wrong. What was it like inside the team, inside your blue and red helmet? How difficult was that year, or how comfortable was that year?
I think it's always, when you have a world championship year, it's always very special, because it seems things happen the way that should happen. We have some very tough moments, like in Monza, the transport crash on the motorway going to Milano. But I think the driver, car, and designer, Colin Chapman combination was working well together. And through Colin's, because Colin was a genius, not just to design a car, but to set up a car. And his mind was like a computer. I would describe to Colin how the car was in turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, going around the track. And I remember he'd put the 2 fingers here and start thinking, be quiet. His brains would come with the right answer. And next day the car would be much faster. And I think that capacity that Colin had to set up the car properly to each track, to different corners, it helped a lot to improve the performance and to keep the competitive cars through the whole season. 1971 was a difficult year because they had the first time the slick tires. There was a lot of extra grip, and our suspension was flecting.
Oof.
And that's why we never, low grip tracks, we run quick. I mean, when I say run quick, it could be on the top 5 cars. But when you had a lot of grip, the car wouldn't react, and you just go like 11, 12, 9. We couldn't run.
Where were you living at this point?
I was living in Switzerland already.
Were you?
In Lausanne. Was very central, was easy. And I was invited by Jackie Stewart and Jochen to go to Lausanne to see. I loved the place.
Ronnie in 73, Colin could have let you win the Italian Grand Prix, and the championship could have stayed alive. Did that weigh on your mind at all? Did that disappoint you?
Very much. That made sign with McLaren. I was one of the best Ronnie's friends, and I remember before the race we made a deal. I say, if by any chance you have to be lucky, we are running the 2 cars away from the third guy. When it will be 18, 17 laps to go. If Ronnie's leading, change position. Exactly.
You said Chapman said this?
Yes,
or you said, Chapman said this?
You guys change position. Still Emerson can have enough points to
take the championship to Canada.
To race against Jackie. And 17 laps to go. I was right on Ronnie's gearbox the whole race, but not giving pressure. And 70 laps to go, I looked signboard, nothing. 18, 16, 15, 14. When it comes 11 laps, I said, there is no sign, I'm going to attack Ronnie. And then we start dicing. This is the worst situation.
Yeah.
Because we were away from everybody. And I didn't manage to pass Ronnie. Ronnie started defending the position because there was no sign. And after the race, I was very upset with Colin. Because I said, that's not what we agree. And I lost the chance for the championship.
Yeah. I mean, and history went in a different course, because would Jackie have raced in Watkins Glen if the championship had still been open? We'll never know. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, so we'll never know. The course of history was changed then. And how was Colin when you spoke to him about that?
Well, he's changed subject. He didn't want to talk about that. And he just wanted to talk, okay, we want to renew. We are very happy with you, Emerson. And I didn't like his attitude, and that's when I left.
How did you get on with Denny Hulme?
Oh, it was great. Denny was a very special guy. Very different from anybody else. By example, he never drove on Friday 13th. We had one situation, the Argentina Grand Prix, practice was Friday 13th. On his contract was written he would never sit on a race car.
Really?
And then when we were in Zandvoort, then his father come,
Clive,
with a wiring and to found energy. He used to found oil.
That's right, yeah.
And he said, Emerson, can you hold the wire? I hold the wire. And then the wire started moving. And then he said, you'll be world champion this year. It was the beginning of the season.
Wow.
Are you sure? He said, you're going to be world champion. It happened. Going to Watkins Glen, I was not so sure.
That to me was that 74 season with you particularly was the beginning of the new era of sponsorship. We even lost the McLaren name from the team. It was Texaco Marlboro. The car was a Texaco Marlboro. You had these two big sponsors, yes. And you did a beautiful job balancing between them. They got a lot out of it. It was a very impressive time.
Yes.
The motorhome, everything. Yes. John Hogan, Domingos.
I think was a lot of effort for the branding into racing, to the sport. I think at that time, if you remember, a lot of the professional sports was giving a lot of energy to give back to the sponsor what they want. And there was a lot of effort, 100% right.
Yeah.
Even the tennis.
That's right. Tournament. I think 74 was the first year of activation for sponsorship. 73 it was take, but 74 a lot was given back, pushing. And it really started to go. And a lot of that, and that was you. That was you. And I've lived through many eras now, the Michael Schumacher era, but the feel of your era was very similar to the Michael era. It was just like, this is the future. Yeah. It was very impressive, Emerson. And 75, we talked about it earlier, but if I can just get you to talk a little bit again, because there, really for the first time, with 2 world championships behind you, you became more than Emerson Fittipaldi world champion. You were taking a Jackie Stewart-like stand, and that happened in Barcelona in 75. You did that one lap, and then you got out of the car. And Teddy Mayer was not happy. Nobody was happy.
Well, I think we all... We are very anxious, very nervous on Saturday night because we knew that type of risk was not more acceptable in Grand Prix racing. The organizer should at least to bolt properly the guardrails to the posts. The track should be. I remember even Bernie offered to make a team effort, all the Grand Prix teams, to go with nuts and bolts, washers.
I remember.
And repair and the organizer said, no. We do amanhã. Amanhã is going to happen. Every day we arrived there was amanhã. The amanhã never come. I was very disappointed.
And you took that stand, and you got a lot of flack. Dennis Jenkinson was not happy. I mean, at the time, the press, I think, and the media were not 100% behind the changes that were taking place. I presume you were good friends with Jackie Stewart at that point?
Very much, yes.
And he's remained one of your close friends throughout your career.
Today, yes.
And another was George Harrison. Tell us about George.
George was interesting because he came to the British Grand Prix at 72 to watch. And we start talking, and then George was a fantastic racing fan, because his background in Liverpool at the entry circuit. He told the story that I didn't know. His father was a bus driver. And when they had, I think, the British Grand Prix on the mid-50s, the Mercedes, George's father used to take the family on a public bus on Sunday to go watch the Grand Prix, and George must be, I don't know, at that time, 10 years old, 9 years old. And he loved motor race. That's how he started his love.
The first time you drove an oval, Emerson, can you remember that and what you felt about it? Did you feel as much in home?
John's Rutherford McLaren that won the year was a winning car for Indianapolis. That was October after Watkins Glen. We flew on a Philip Morris plane to Indianapolis. And I remember who was very good to me was A.J. Foyt. He saw me arrive in the garage. He called me and said, Emerson, jump on my golf car. And he took me to the four corners and explained not what I should do, but what I should not do it for safety reasons. And was very good into my mind and my procedure, how to drive, how to pick up the speed. I love Indianapolis from day one. I was very fast, but that time, the McLaren was racing there, the monocoque was 2 millimeters, and just disintegrate, Peter. Was just, you hit the wall. I mean, I lapped at 210 miles per hour average speed.
Do you, given that Jochen, for example, never liked Indy, nor did Pedro, a few others never got into it, can you talk about a little bit about the two different demands and whether, do you think you could, in another world, do you think you could do ovals and go back into Formula One and alternate like that? Or do you have to have a completely different mindset in order to make it work?
I think the traveling like they used to do Monaco, Indy, and back, my opinion is disaster. Unless you are used to, but it's very difficult to do it. To do properly an oval track, you have to be there. You have to be very patient. You have to, after 10 laps, come out of the car, have a drink, talk to the engineer, measure the car, go back. It's a different procedure than Grand Prix racing. And that's, I think, when I can see in history of Indianapolis, when the Grand Prix drivers get into trouble, when they are too anxious, they want to have a different procedure.
Right.
And you have to be very conservative in Indianapolis, not to get hurt.
Emerson, two final questions. You've had two big accidents, one in the race car in Michigan and another in the plane. How are you today, physically? I mean, you look great. You look wonderful. And
thanks God, I'm enjoying so much the life now, physically. And I think through technology, medicine, my back is 100% recovered. I have a lot of titanium bolts, titanium rods on my back, but I can do any sport.
Really?
I can move, I still love radical sport. I do a lot of radical sport.
What's that mean?
Snowboard, wakeboard.
And you're quite good at them, I would guess. The old balance is still there.
Well, I like it. The
rhythm,
the motion, the balance. I still like to do. It's a challenge for me. I play tennis every weekend. I'm trying to play tennis. One day I'm going to play. I'm still trying.
Is your golf any better than it was at Watkins Glen in '72?
Worst. I retired from golf. I did 2 games and retired.
And my final question, Emerson, is it's a very general question, but you said how much you're enjoying your life. You're quite a spiritual man now.
Yes.
Is that because you've got a lot to be thankful for?
Peter, when I had the crash in Michigan, I was baptized again. I was Catholic and I'm from the Baptist Church. I believe it was a call from God and say, slow down, time to slow down, come here. Now you have to know me well. You have to know what I teach you guys, what you have to do and what you should not do it. And I feel that changed my life. It was a blessing. A lot of people who has a tough problem open the door to God and open the heart to God. And it happened to me. And it changed completely my life, the way I approach people, the way I live with my family. And thanks God every day that I have a new life.
And as a result of that, how important is money to you now? How important is material success?
I think the material, we live on the material world. It's difficult not to be on the material world.
Yeah.
But the most important thing is the family, the friends, the relationship. you wake up every morning, doesn't matter how rich you are, how poor you are, as a human being, we are going to have problems that day, and that helps to solve problem. If you have a much better spiritual life, everybody is facing problems every day. It doesn't matter what racial, what nationality, how is the economy situation, what country you are. You wake up in the morning is always a challenge to be solved. And that's when you have the spiritual element balancing to the physical body and your mind, you react better, you solve much better the problems.
And one thing I've learned from you from day one, laugh a lot and smile a lot.
Yes,
and see the funny side of life.
There is a saying I learned in America, I don't know who, but it's very realistic for our life. Past is history, future mystery. Today is a gift, that's why we call present.
Very good. Emerson, thank you so much. A delight talking to you as ever. Thank you.
Thank you.